Asiana Airlines Flight 214 was en route from South Korea to San Francisco International Airport, carrying 291 passengers and 16 crew members. The flight was proceeding smoothly until the aircraft approached its destination. As the pilots prepared for landing, they encountered a critical issue. The plane's speed was dangerously low. Due to misjudgment and difficulty in maintaining proper altitude, the situation inside the cockpit became tense, even though the weather outside was clear. The pilots were doing their best to land the plane safely, but the aircraft kept descending uncontrollably. Panic spread among the passengers, and chaos filled the cabin. Would the pilots manage to avert disaster, or would this day mark another dark chapter in aviation history? Let's uncover the secrets behind this untold and heart-wrenching story of Asiana Airlines Flight 214. On July 6, 2013, 291 passengers boarded an Asiana Airlines Boeing 777 aircraft for a scheduled trans-Pacific flight from Incheon International Airport in South Korea to San Francisco International Airport in the United States. Among those on board were 77 Koreans, 141 Chinese citizens, 61 Americans, and passengers from various other countries. With a good safety record, and the Boeing 777 being a reliable, technologically advanced aircraft, this flight was expected to be routine. The flight was commanded by Captain Lee Jong-min, a seasoned pilot with over 12,000 hours of flight experience, including 3,000 on the Boeing 777. He was known for his calm demeanor and adherence to procedures. On this day, Captain Lee was overseeing the training of Captain Lee Kang-kook, who was transitioning from the Airbus A320 to the Boeing 777. Though Kang-kook had 10,000 hours of flying experience, he had only logged 45 hours on the Boeing 777, which would prove to be a critical factor in the accident. Two other relief pilots were also on board, assigned to take control mid-flight to allow the main crew to rest. After all passengers boarded and the aircraft was fueled, Flight 214 took off without incident. The first part of the flight proceeded smoothly. A few hours into the flight, passengers were served meals, and many attempted to sleep during the night flight. Approximately 4 hours after takeoff, the main pilots took a break, handing control to the relief crew. They were scheduled to rest for 5 hours before returning to the cockpit for the final approach into San Francisco. After 4.5 hours, Captain Lee and the trainee captain returned early from their rest period to prepare for landing, as this was a training flight. Captain Lee had not landed in San Francisco for 10 years and was aware of ongoing construction at the end of runway 28L, which had closed the glide slope, the system used to guide aircraft during landing. During their approach, the pilots briefed on the landing procedure. Captain Lee planned to use the localizer to align with the runway and manage descent speed manually, while also relying on the autopilot to maintain airspeed. As they descended towards San Francisco, the crew completed their checklist and prepared for landing. Air traffic control cleared them for a visual approach to runway 28L, as the pilots could clearly see the runway due to the clear weather. However, things started to go wrong. The aircraft was descending too slowly, and the pilot flying, Captain Kang-kook, was inexperienced with visual landings on the Boeing 777. Asiana Airlines had a policy that discouraged pilots from manual flying, instead relying on automation. This lack of manual flying proficiency would contribute to the unfolding events. As the aircraft descended, the pilots mismanaged its altitude and speed. They failed to notice the plane was flying too high and too fast, while the vertical path indicator, a crucial instrument showing whether the plane was on the correct descent path, was disregarded. The landing gear was eventually lowered, and flaps were set to slow the plane down, but the aircraft remained above its landing profile, making it difficult to land safely. During this critical phase, the trainee captain made several errors in managing the aircraft's speed and altitude. He failed to control the descent properly and ignored warnings from both his instruments and the other crew members. Although the senior captain suggested adjusting speed and altitude multiple times, the trainee pilot, overwhelmed by the situation, struggled to follow these instructions. Despite clear signs that a safe landing was unlikely, the crew did not initiate a go-around, an established procedure to abort the landing and try again. Instead, they continued the descent. As the aircraft neared the runway, it became apparent that the speed was too low and the plane was descending too steeply. At the last moment, the crew attempted to correct their approach, but it was too late. The aircraft's tail struck the seawall just short of the runway, causing the plane to crash. The impact resulted in 3 fatalities and many injuries, with several passengers thrown from the aircraft due to the force of the collision. The investigation later revealed that a combination of pilot error, lack of experience, and poor communication contributed to the crash. The trainee pilot's unfamiliarity with visual approaches, coupled with the airline's over-reliance on automation, had tragic consequences. This incident serves as a somber reminder of the importance of manual flying skills and the need for clear communication in the cockpit during critical phases of flight. The crash of Asiana Airlines Flight 214 remains a significant event in aviation history, highlighting the complexities of modern aircraft operations and the need for constant vigilance, even under seemingly normal conditions.